The time is now 10:02 a.m. and I will call the meeting of the District of Columbia Board of Ethics and Government Accountability to order. I'm Norma Hutcheson, the BEGA Chairperson, and joining me today for this meeting are board members Darrin Sobin, Charles Nottingham, Melissa Tucker, and Felice Smith. Together, we constitute a quorum for today's meeting. We have posted the agenda for this meeting, and I would like to entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Is there a second? Thank you. It's been moved and second that we adopt the agenda for today's meeting. Please indicate your pleasure by agreement by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we have adopted the agenda for today's meeting. Next, we will take up a motion to approve the board's February meeting minutes. Those were put into our Dropbox. Right, okay. So please take a minute and then I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February.
The non-public executive session is on the minutes.
Yes, correct.
We're not gonna post those.
I'm sorry, I apologize. It's on the minutes?
Yes.
Oh, then that was an error. We won't put those up until we'll wait till adopt those. They have a non-public setup. They must have that. Okay, they've not posted it, of course. Okay.
Okay.
So we should probably.
You know what, I'll have a set. We don't have them upstairs. I'll have Sandra pull up a set for us. Give me a second. Okay. And so I'll have.
Okay, so we can go back to that.
Go back to that, yeah.
Okay. Before we move on to the report from the Director of the Office of Open Government, and I'd like to welcome our new General Counsel for BEGA, Raj. Welcome, it's good to have you on board.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, now we'll hear from Ms. Niquelle Allen, our Director of the Office of Open Government.
And I'd also like to extend a welcome to General Counsel Raj. Good morning, Chairperson Hutcheson and members of the board. I am Niquelle Allen, Director of Open Government. I am joined at the table by Johnny Barton, Chief Counsel of Open Government, and I am pleased to present this report on the Office of Open Government's activities. Since the last board meeting, the OOG has continued to fulfill its mission of ensuring that all persons receive full and complete information regarding the affairs of the district government and the actions of those that represent them. I'll start with Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act advice. The Office of Open Government has not issued any advisory opinions since the last board meeting. With respect to informal OMA and FOIA advice, since the last board meeting, the OOG's responses for informal and technical FOIA and OMA advice and assistance are as follows. The office provided FOIA substantive advice to 8 querents. The office provided OMA substantive advice to 5 querents. This included a meeting with a complainant to discuss local school advisory team compliance issues with the Open Meetings Act. And the office provided 11 responses to requests for technical assistance with open-dc.gov, which included creating new user identifications for public body points of contact and creating public body profiles for local school advisory teams. The next item is training and outreach. On February 8th, 2020, the OOG and OGE conducted a combined OMA and ethics training for members for approximately 100 new members of public bodies. I facilitated the Open Meetings Act portion of the training, and Attorney Cooks from OGE presented on behalf of OGE. On February 13th, 2020, the OOG and OGE conducted a combined OMA and ethics training for members of Events DC. Attorneys Barton and Cooks respectively facilitated the Open Meetings Act and ethics portions of the training sessions. On February 26, 2020, the OOG and OGE conducted another combined OMA and ethics training for members of approximately 90 members of public bodies, new members of public bodies. I facilitated the Open Meetings Act portion of the training, and Acting Director Ford presented on behalf of OGE. The Office of Open Government has continued to provide assistance with the Concealed Pistol Licensing Review Board. OOG provides assistance with recording of those meetings, which began under the leadership of former Director Hughes. The Office of Open Government is available to assist any public body with conducting and recording public meetings. CPLRB is a volunteer board with a part-time staff and has recently had an increase in its hearings. The OOG assisted with their last meeting on February 27, 2020 at 10 a.m. The next item, on February 27, 2020, I attended a meeting of the Open Government Advisory Group. The group has been inactive for several months due to a lapse in public members' terms. The mayor should be appointing additional public members in the near future. OGAG is required by the mayor's order that created the public body to meet 4 times per year. The director of open government or his or her designee is a government member of OGAG. The recent meeting included a presentation from the chief data officer concerning the open data report that will be released this month. The Office of the City Administrator serves as the administrative point of contact for this public body. The next item is the legislative update. On February 12, 2020, I provided testimony at the Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety's public oversight hearing regarding the performance of the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability. My written testimony is available on open-dc.gov, and a video of the hearing is available on the DC Council's website and on entertainment.dc.gov. At the hearing, there was testimony concerning the local schools advisory team's public meetings and complaints concerning those meetings. As a point of clarification, the Office of Open Government found that LSATs are public bodies subject to the OMA. Attorney Barton and I are working with DCPS to educate the LSATs on the OMA requirements and assist LSATs with providing notice of their meetings on open-dc.gov. The office is not taking any OMA enforcement action regarding LSATs at this time. We are focused on training. With respect to complaints, there was concern raised about numerous complaints against an LSAT that were allegedly intended to harass or intimidate LSAT members. If the allegation is true, this is a misuse of the OMA process. However, the District of Columbia transparency laws, OMA, and FOIA do not provide penalties for vexatious or abusive use of those laws. The office does. Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely correct, and that is the policy of this office, that if we found that it's abuse of the law, that we will not move forward. Now, the office does provide notice to the public body that the complaint has occurred, and that's just a matter of our process. And I hope this clarifies the office's position on that particular issue. With respect to the upcoming budget oversight hearing, BEGA has requested several budget enhancement requests to benefit the Office of Open Government, increase its staff. In FY 2020, BEGA has requested an additional attorney FTE and a paralegal FTE. The purpose of this enhancement is to enable OOG to have the ability to bring an OMA matter to DC Superior Court as the statute requires. These new positions will also enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of the office by increasing the staff available to research, draft, and produce advisory opinions, train public bodies, and attend public meetings.
Has the mayor's office supported that request?
I don't have a status on that quite yet. I hope that they will. They seemed open to the idea at our last meeting, so we will see. Oh, you're welcome.
And one point of clarity, Madam Chair, I apologize. I was reading the wrong document. The draft minutes from last month's meeting do not contain non-public information.
Okay. The next item is body-worn camera legislation. At this time, there are no plans to introduce a permanent companion bill to the Access to Body-Worn Camera Emergency and Temporary Amendment Act of 2019. Councilmember Trayon White's office stated that the Judiciary Committee plans to include similar language in an omnibus bill on the body-worn camera program. However, if no such effort comes forward, the council member will pursue a permanent measure. March 7th, 2020 is the revised projected law date for the temporary bill, which will remain in effect for 225 days. The emergency measure expires March 22nd, 2020. The next item are administrative matters. The Office of Open Government has posted the attorney advisor position on the DC Office of Human Resources website, and it closes tomorrow. We hope to conduct interviews this month and have the vacancy filled on or before May 1st, 2020. Next, on February 24th, 2020, representatives from the Commission on the Arts and Humanities installed the beautiful artwork you see in the suite. The artwork is on loan to BEGA for 2 years. The Office of Open Government's IT specialist position is now vacant. I am working with DCHR to post a vacancy announcement as soon as possible. In the interim, we are working with OCTO to hire a temporary IT staff person to assist with the agency's website and general IT issues. We hope to have this temporary staff person in place by the end of this month. This concludes the Office of Open Government's March 5th, 2020 report. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Allen? Okay, let's return to the February board meeting minutes, and I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from February.
So moved.
So second? Oh, okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay. The next we will hear from our Acting Director of the Office of Government Ethics, Ms. Ford. Please proceed.
Good morning. My name is Rochelle Ford, Acting Director of the Office of Government Ethics, and I am pleased to present this report on the activities that we have conducted since the last meeting. First, an update on the status of OGE's operations. To give you a recap of the previous month's activities, here are some statistics, these do not reflect the status changes that we anticipate or that could occur as a result of any actions taken by the board during today's meeting. First, open investigations. We have 38 open investigations. We have 2 open cases that are in the negotiation stage and 5 cases that are open at the show cause hearing stage, for a grand total of 45 cases. We have 6 matters that are currently marked as or as designated as undocketed. We anticipate converting those to matters or dismissing them in the near term, but given the short month, we haven't had an opportunity to address them. So we've put them into the system, we've read them, we're going to make a decision. And then next, there are pending or state investigations by status. We have 25 cases that are closed pending collection. We have 1 case that is closed pending DC Superior Court action, or case rather. 1 case that's stayed, it's an OAG False Claims Act case. A state case, we have 7 cases that are stayed pursuant to OIG investigation, and 2 cases that are stayed because they are currently pending in the U.S. District Court for a grand total of 39. We have 25 cases that are, now on to regulatory matters. We have 25 cases that are closed pending collection, 1 matter that's open and for a grand total of 25. To give you an indication of the case statuses, last month we had 39 cases open, now we have 45. This change reflects cases that have come in the past month or so. Okay. Next is training and outreach. Since taking over as acting director, I have embarked on an outreach campaign to ensure that OGE maintains its relationship with our partner agencies. I have met with the Mayor's General Counsel, the Attorney General, and the Inspector General to introduce myself and to discuss ways that, to discuss our short-term goals and ways that we can continue to work together. In addition, OGE staff and I have met with representatives from DCHR, the Office of Human Rights, that's OHR, and the Office of Contracting and Procurement to discuss ways that OGE can better support their needs and to offer trainings to their staff as needed. As a result of these meetings, OGE has offered to develop and specifically tailor training for their individual agencies' needs. As a result, on February 27, 2020, Ashley Cooks and I provided a training for approximately 80 human resources advisors from all of the district agencies, and this training included a brief ethics refresher and offered best practices for HR professionals to use to ensure that district employees are informed about how and when to seek ethics advice, suggested ways to promote ethics awareness when employees begin and leave district service, and advised them on how to seek out OGE's assistance to address ethics issues that commonly arise out of personnel issues in their offices. The training slides for this presentation have been uploaded to the Dropbox. OGE is working to schedule requested trainings for OHR and also for OCP later this month, and those offices have offered to provide our staff cross-training with respect to their agencies' respective operations and missions. On March 28, 2020, OGE will provide ethics training along with the Attorney General's office at their ANC legal training seminar. This seminar is designed to educate ANC commissioners on a variety of legal issues ranging from legal protections to ethical guidelines, and it gives us an opportunity to talk with them specifically about issues related to maintaining their resources and reaching out for ethics advice. OGE staff and I are also in the process of scheduling a meeting with the DC auditor and her staff and with Gottlieb Simon of the Advisory Neighborhood Commission Office. With respect to the district council, the council's ethics counselor and OGE have agreed to collaborate to provide training to council members who are up for election this cycle. So we'll provide them specific HATAC training for council employees. Next, we talk about, I want to discuss professional development trainings attended by staff. Investigator Bradley completed the following webinar trainings: collecting evidence from online social media, building a cyber OSINT toolbox, and through the looking glass, protecting yourself while conducting internet-based investigations. Auditor Tajuba completed uncovering and utilizing your talent and skills, that was offered by DCHR. Next week, OG attorneys will attend the Federal 2020 National Government Ethics Summit. The summit will provide attendees with opportunities to deepen their knowledge of ethics laws and rules, engage in practical program workshops, and to build connections with ethics officials who address common ethics issues. In terms of trainings conducted by staff, since the last meeting, we've been fairly busy. OG conducted 15 trainings, which is 7 more than the 8 conducted last month. The 15 trainings included 2 new employee orientations, one monthly ethics training, 5 FDS ethics counselor trainings, 1 ethics training at DCHR, 2 ethics trainings at DCRB, and 3 boards and commissions trainings. 2 at MODA and 1 at Events DC. We also provided an ethics presentation for the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution of Kenya. In addition, 38 employees completed the online ethics training through PeopleSoft during the month of February. Next, I'd like to discuss advisory opinions and advice. With respect to informal advice, OG provided approximately 30, or rather responded to approximately 37 inquiries for ethics guidance, which is 1 less than the 38 reported last month. This number does not include responses we have provided to questions regarding the lobbyist and FDS e-filing systems. OG did not issue any advisory opinions last month. Legislative update. On February 12, 2020, I provided testimony and responded to questions at the Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety's Public Performance Oversight hearing regarding the performance, obviously, of OGE. A video of the hearing is available on the DC Council's website and on entertainment.dc.gov. During the hearing, Councilmember Allen advised BEGA that he had received feedback from other council members that guidance that we had provided to the council on how to compile and submit list of financial disclosure filers was overwhelming. In response, we followed up immediately with the council's ethics counselor, and Attorney Stuart Mitchell, Attorney Cooks, and I offered to provide training to the council, additional information, and they have not gotten back to us at this time, but we are also planning to reach out to individual council members' office as well. Next, the budget. Our fiscal year 2020 budget remains in good shape, and we are working to improve our efforts to collect unpaid fines that are owed to the agency. OGE utilizes these fines and lobbying registration fees to supplement our budget as needed. Auditor Tajuba has taken the lead on improving and expanding OGE's debt collection efforts to recover payments on outstanding fines. This process included in partnering with the DC Office of Pay and Retirement Services, that's OPRS, to develop an active employees wage garnishment report, locating and contacting former employees, and coordinating with the Office of the Attorney General. Mr. Tajuba also has begun working with the Central Collection Unit of OCFO. It's the CCU. The CCU is responsible for collecting debts that are past due over 90 days to district agencies. So we are currently reviewing a proposed MOA, a Memorandum of Agreement, with the CCU, and hope to enter into it soon to pursue outstanding fines that are owed to BEGA. An email describing the process and a draft of the MOA has been uploaded to the Dropbox.
So can I ask, is the CCU new, or has it been around for a while?
It's sort of hard to find, which is interesting because what their services are new in that they've recently contracted with a particular vendor to offer the ability to recover non-taxable debt. Because what you could always find is how to recover tax-related debt. So I don't know how new it is. I didn't research it, but I was impressed with his ability to locate it.
So we are kind of in tax season right now, and I know that the DC government has the ability to deduct an outstanding or owed amount to the government from a person's tax refund. And I didn't know if that is handled through the CCU.
Well, there's a different unit that deals with tax-related debt, but it might make sense for us to reach out to them to see if we can.
But it's not. That's the point. It's not tax.
It's not. That's right. So
tax-related debt.
So I think.
It's like you get a speed camera ticket, they will deduct it out of your tax refund if it's not paid in a certain amount of time.
Well, I'll take note of that and talk with our auditor to see if we can find the right office there. Thank you.
Very effective collection tool.
I was thinking that when you said it, I was like, that's a good idea. Let's see. For fiscal year 21, OGE has requested 2 customer service representatives to support our financial disclosure and lobbying, reporting, and registration programs. In addition, OGE is seeking step increases and COLAs for our staff, and we've again requested funds to secure new space and cover the associated moving cost. With respect to staffing, on March 2nd, as you mentioned, we welcomed Rashi Raj as the agency's general counsel. Ms. Raj formerly served as the GC for the Department of Forensic Science. Our FDS team is in the process of preparing to bring someone on to serve as temporary technical support, and we hope to have that person start by the end of the month. The Director of Government Ethics position was posted on February 3rd, 2020, and will close this Friday, March 6th, 2020.
Is it on our website?
It's on our website. You can link out to DCHR's website, or rather it's the appointments website for the mayor, and then you apply that way. And they apply directly.
Are there any other positions posted there?
Yes. I didn't look up which ones they were, but there are about 8. That's my recollection. Next up is litigation matters, status of pending cases. The Darrin Price matter, which is still pending. A status hearing was held in this matter on January 10th, 2020 before Judge Shana Frost Matini. OAG represents BEGA in this matter. Judge Matini denied our motion to dismiss because she found that the petitioner did not make timely efforts to file his petition, rather that he did make timely efforts to file his petition despite being hindered by technical errors. The petitioner's brief in support of his request to reverse BEGA's decision was due on February 18th, 2020, but he was granted a continuance, and his brief is now due on March 19th, 2020. Our response is due on April 20th, 2020. Next, lobbyist and financial disclosure matters. First, we'll discuss financial disclosure, or rather I will. All public and confidential filer lists were due to BEGA on Monday, March 2nd, 2020. These lists come from agencies, and they reflect which employees have been designated to file publicly and which ones will file a confidential disclosure with their agency. Of the approximately 85 required submissions, we have received 60 list submissions so far. We are currently working to bring the remaining agencies into compliance. We have also beginning to coordinate issuing the public filer notice that we send to filers to remind them of their obligation to file a financial disclosure statement. It will be sent out via email and hard copy on or before Wednesday, April 15th, of this year. With respect to technical improvement, our vendor, Abstract Evolutions, has begun the process of analyzing Octo's coding for the FDS system and is deep into the analysis phase. They have already identified one failure in the code, and as a result, OGE, Abstract Evolutions, and Octo are analyzing the processes and to figure out what can be improved. For your reference, I have uploaded a copy of Abstract Evolution's dashboard analysis of our system and proposed timeline for its analysis of the FDS system to the Dropbox. Next, lobbying, registration, and reporting system matters. Since there are no reports due this month because it's not a reporting period, or they're not required to be filed, our team has been focusing on addressing outstanding customer service issues that have developed due to technical issues with the system. For example, the lobbying, registration, and reporting system has been erroneously assessing late fees on a small number of registration reports randomly for no apparent reason a month or more after they were timely filed. Octo can identify the cause for this system error, but our program specialist, Stan Kosick, has directed Octo to find a workaround for the error by reducing any assessed penalties to zero. We still have the ability to manually assess a late fee when warranted.
And maybe it's a good idea whenever there is a late fee that's assessed to go back and manually check it to make sure it's real
We already do that.
for every single one.
Yes, for every single one. Yes. We don't, as a matter of fact, our team met and we established a policy. As soon as I started that, we would send out no enforcement letters on these matters until we actually called the registrants and got a confirmation, because we don't have that confidence in
Well,
our
how
system.
does it work then? So if they file on time, right, and the system randomly reports that they didn't, okay, do they get notified of that and automatically?
I may defer to Mr. Kosick, but I believe they do because they're not very happy when it happens.
Right. And so that's what
how
I'm
we go about
trying
it.
to sort of get at, like, because we're killing ourselves with goodwill, right, by notifying them of a mistake every time a mistake is made.
We're very cognizant of that fact, which is why we turned it to zero, because we asked Octo about the issue. They couldn't identify the cause. We said, well, can we just not, you just turn off that feature? We can't turn off the feature. What do you mean you can't turn off the feature? And so finally, we've got to work around.
Okay.
So, but to believe that a penalty is only assessed once you're in that phase. So for the system to automatically decide on its own is problematic in and of itself. And what if the law changes, for example? What if it becomes 45 days? They have it programmed that at 30 days, it's an automatic fine no matter what. And we can never change it in perpetuity, which is not how, well, yes, yes. So that's why we hired Abstract Evolutions. And as our program specialist pointed out, they're already beginning to identify issues.
So the code flaw that they found with respect to the FDS, is it possible it's the same one that's causing this to occur?
No, that one relates to.
Don't worry, there's many then, right?
I was pursuing. Yeah. Yes.
They're
Well,
two separate systems.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same platform, but two separate sets of code.
Right.
And so that's what is so in Abstract Evolutions is focusing primarily on the FDS because that is our single largest issue. In regards to the late fees on the LRR, as Rochelle mentioned, it has been so very random. There was in the most recent case, which prompted me to act, was there was a lobbyist who went in and wanting to keep their stuff updated for their activity report, and found out that they owed $900 in addition to the money that they had paid back in January because this late fee was applied an entire month later. And I said, in speaking with Octo, I asked if it could be toggled off, and they said their response was, well, we give you the option to waive it. And that to me wasn't sufficient. We need to be able to, we need to have a little more ability to address those situations as they come individually.
So then what is the error rate of these random errors? If you had to guess, 5 out of 20, 5 out of 50?
It's more like, yeah, it's probably 1 or 2%.
yeah, it's low, and it's such a strange if it had happened more frequently, you'd say, well, there's definitely an error, but why does it just do it randomly? And Octo can't figure out what initiates the system to mysteriously make a system. Well, and also just for your, your reference and context, uh, on the FDS side, what we have been able to do, just sadly, there appears to be bad news with respect to the systems repeatedly, but there's good news in that I think we've identified what the problems are. I hope we ever don't find new ones. But on the FDS side, it's the ability to log in and the inability to have multiple filings per year. The system is designed to only allow filing on May 15th of a year. You can't do it at any other time. But of course, employees leave district service any time of the year. So once you leave, you have a report due, you must wait until the next May 15th, a year in advance, and remember how to get into the system and file a report. But then, of course, when you go to log in, you can't log in because you don't have a DC government email. Right. On the lobbyist side, we identified one glitch already. There also is just the issue of sort of syncing up client reports and registration reports. And we've received actually the community, I should say on the record, that the lobbyists have been very, I think, patient, but also very helpful in providing feedback. And so we've done, I think, Program Director Kosick has done a good job at doing that outreach along with their team to, let them know that we understand the issue with the system and that we are not going to be assessing penalties inappropriately. So we've reassured them of that.
Aside from the anger factor, there's also a great distrust in our ability to do anything when they get these notices. I don't have to tell you guys that.
Yeah, as we say, and that's why we, a lot of the work that we've done, as you can see, my voice sort of remains hoarse, is that I'm spending a lot of time talking to people to let them know that, it's important that we would rather not send out something in error so that people can trust our credibility.
Madam Chair, could I just ask, just from a meeting management perspective and transparency, I know I always welcome hearing from staff. Mr. Kosick, thank you. But just be good for the record for people listening from afar to introduce staff if they're being brought forward to provide important testimony, which just happened. The fact that we now know is, I just heard maybe a 1% to 2% error. That's serious, but earlier in the discussion, we didn't know if it was a 20% or if it, so important information like that needs to get on the record with a name. We just need to make sure we're introducing who's speaking and giving the board important information. Thanks.
Thank you. That's an important point because I know that people listen to the audio while, and I describe that as a handful because I guess out of 320 registrations, it's about a handful, 1 to 2%. So so thank you for quantifying that, and we'll be sure to have staff come up and speak at the microphone. Thank you. Next, non-confidential investigations. First, matter 18-006P, Henry Jack Evans. This formal investigation involves allegations that the former council member violated the council code of conduct. OGE's case was placed in a stayed status at the request of other law enforcement agencies, but has since returned to an active investigation. Our staff has spent the last several weeks winding up the investigative phase in this matter and recently engaged the council member through his attorney regarding possible dispositions of the matter. We expect this matter to move forward towards a resolution very shortly. Next, matter 20-0004F, Henry Jack Evans. This formal investigation alleged that the council member violated a provision of the Merit Personnel Act by voting on two proposed resolutions regarding his own ethics investigation. The complainant, Alan Roth, argues that by not recusing himself from the votes, Councilmember Evans failed to maintain a high level of ethical conduct in the performance of his official duties and took official action that would adversely affect the confidence of the public in the district government's integrity. OGE staff has reviewed the submissions in this matter and prepared a memorandum detailing our recommendation for the board. Thank you. This concludes the Office of Government Ethics, March 5th, 2020 report.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Any other questions for Ms. Ford? Okay. The board now provides an opportunity for any public comments. Commenters are reminded to keep their remarks to less than 3 minutes. Are there any public commenters? I don't see anyone here who is not one of us. Okay. Now, next, the agenda provides for a closed session to discuss ongoing confidential investigations pursuant to DC Official Code, Section 2-575B, to consult with an attorney to obtain legal advice and to preserve the attorney-client privilege between an attorney and a public body pursuant to DC Official Code, Section 2-575B4A. To discuss personnel matters including the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, performance evaluation, compensation, discipline, demotion, removal or resignation of government appointees, employees, or officials pursuant to DC Official Code, Section 2-575B10. To deliberate on a decision in which the Ethics Board will exercise quasi-judicial functions pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B13, and to discuss contract negotiation strategies pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B2. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please